I just did a short video on karma, samkara, rebirth, rebirth versus reincarnation, 15 minutes or so. And I thought I would do my live session short, probably, hopefully, no more than 20 minutes or so. Um, reiterate what I said in that video, cover some other things. Um, we've been talking about, I've been talking about the yamas and niyamas, which are, sorry, I'm also looking at a computer screen as we do this. Um, we've been talking about the yamas and the niyamas, which are the um, ethical foundation that yoga is built upon. And working our way through each one. Let's see. I'm trying to think of where we left off yesterday. And I believe that we came all the way to, I talked about brahmacharya, which is celibacy, loosely translated, or better said, right use of energy. So we covered ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, which are, again, non-harming, non-violence, truthfulness, non-stealing, and then the right use of energy. I much prefer right use of energy over celibacy, although celibacy is part of that practice. If you decide it should be part of your practice, it doesn't have to be. Hi, Mocha. So, you can include celibacy within that, or again, I much prefer the right use of action, conservation of energy. The right use of energy is a better way of thinking about it, because we mismanage our energy on almost everything. We flitter about, which is a way of mismanaging our energy. We eat poor food choices that don't help our energy level. We give our emotional energy towards things that don't matter, towards people who don't have our best interests at heart. Trolls on the internet. I deal with that on occasionally, although happily not as much as I thought that I would. Putting out videos, especially live videos, but it does happen. If I were to engage with them on the level that they wished, they'd certainly appreciate it because they get the reaction that they want, but I would be misusing my energy. That's brahmacharya. That is the right use of energy. Or conserving my energy. Because as we conserve that energy, it is better expressed through the things that I love to do. It's given more freely towards the people that I love to be with. But if I'm always putting that emotional energy out there towards those little unimportant things, I'm drained and I have less to give to other people. I have less to give myself. I've depleted my power. So we talked about that yesterday. Today, which would be the fifth day, the last yama, would be non-greed or non-hoarding. And as with every single one of the yamas, there's a deeper aspect. Brahmacharya, and we think celibacy, because that's the common thing. Ahimsa, and we think non-violence, pacifism, because that's the common thought behind it. But as hopefully that I've covered in each one, it's just so much deeper. It's never ending. I always like to say, the deeper we get, the deeper it is. And it's ongoing, always, forever. Again, with every single one of the yamas, there's a Sanskrit name that I will mispronounce. I think the only one I don't mispronounce ahimsa when I think about it. If I say it too quickly, it's going to come out something, who knows what. Satya, I have a friend named Satya, so it's easy to remember. Asteya, I'm absolutely positive I'm mispronouncing that. I have had people, lifelong yogis, I've had teachers, yoga instructors, meditation teachers, who will say it correctly to me. I've done in my meditation class, instructor's class, teaching class, um, there was Sanskrit, how to say things, and I would say it correctly the first time and then immediately screw it up afterwards. So I always put that out there. Mocha says, don't worry. I don't know what the correct pronunciation would be. Mocha's a stickler for grammar. And she kind-heartedly corrects me. But I put this out here not for her sake or for my sake, just because there'll be people who want to come on board and say that's not how you say it. And I just want to let you know, I already know. And that way we save all that time, all that energy. Doesn't matter. I mean, I could just give the talk and skip the Sanskrit word, but I like to try. And I just, sometimes hit the nail on the head. Aparigraha, aparigraha, thereabouts. Anyway, it means non-greed, non-hoarding, and the deeper aspects. What do we mean? Mocha said, well, where's the fun in that? For who? It's more fun for me because I get to stay a little bit more on topic. And it gets it out of the way. Right off the bat. Everyone knows. The fun is in the correcting, not being corrected, I would say. Having been on that receiving end more times than I can possibly count. Growing up with a English teacher as a mother, my grandma was constantly corrected. And you would think it would be better. But there you go. That's how life works. Aparagahara is as close as I'm going to get. Non-greed, non-hoarding. Seems pretty simple on the surface, as they all do. All the time. Let's dig deeper. Another thing I should bring right up. I am not teaching anything right now. I'm not instructing. We're exploring this together. Taking it deeper. So if anyone does pop on and they say, well, non-greed, non-hoarding, this is what I believe a deeper aspect might be, then it is, because it's a deeper aspect for you. And please feel free to share it. Non-greed. We think of that as a necessity, almost. Of course, we're all greedy about some things, and it's funny, the right use of energy or the conservation of energy could be thought of as greed in some respects. However, what we want to think about is in terms of how this affects us. And from there, we go on to other people. Am I being greedy with my thoughts? Always trying to stay positive and never allowing the negative to surface because it's already there. And if I just push it aside because I'm greedy for those feel-good moments, I'm doing myself a great, great disservice. I'm not being truthful to myself, which leads us back to Satya, truthfulness. So you can see how all of these tie in with each other. I always go to diet, what we eat. Am I being greedy for the things that I enjoy for the sake of other people going without? For the sake of putting aside the actual torture of another living being? Am I being greedy for what I might consider my emotional health at the sake of ignoring emotional wounds that are affecting me, but I refuse to deal with them? We can all view this in an energetic way, in that regard, psychological way. Non-hoarding. Am I holding on to things I no longer need? Including behavior, beliefs. Do I ever examine my beliefs? Am I hoarding the ones that I think are true because it helps me fit into the tribe and I don't speak up? I don't put my foot down and say, no, these are not the politics that represent me. These are not the beliefs that serve my highest purpose. I'm hoarding these beliefs and these thoughts and these convictions because it helps me fit in. Who wants to fit in at that expense, though? That would go back to Satya again, truthfulness. It would also go back to ahimsa, non-harm, because we are harming ourselves by just trying to become a member of the tribe, staying in the tribe. My advice, which I seldom give, at least in a talk like this, drop out of the tribe. You don't need it. Not even your own. Don't be a tribal member. So, there's that advice. That is non-greed, non-hoarding. That's the 5 yamas, the ethical foundation that yoga is built on. If you are doing yoga, the asanas, the postures, and you're not practicing the 5 yamas and then the 5 niyamas, you're not really doing yoga, you're stretching. You're using the postures as a form of exercise, which is fine, absolutely fine, because they're actually very good for you. But if you want to practice yoga, you got to dive in. You got to dive in deep into that philosophy. It has to become a living philosophy. It's a thing when we think about philosophy. We think about dead things. We think about dead people. You had these great thoughts 1,000 years ago. And they might help us in some way. But every philosophy has to be a living philosophy. It has to be flexible. It has to serve us in some way. So that's what yoga is. Yoga is a living thing, living expression, ongoing. As I said in the video I just made about karma, karma means action, ongoing, motion. That's why there's such a thing as karma yoga, the yoga of action. It also frees you from karma by practicing karma yoga, which means, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that we surrender the fruits of our actions to something greater than ourselves. For Arjuna, the archer in the Bhagavad Gita, he surrendered it to his companion Krishna, his charioteer, who taught him on the battlefield the laws of karma yoga, which seem irrefutable. That life is action. You can't escape it. So you don't escape karma. But remember, karma isn't punishment. It's not retribution. It's not revenge. It's simply action. If we keep engaging in these actions over and over and over again, we dig that samkara, that emotional groove, and we react from that position. And then we say, well, that's karma. Karma got him, whatever. No, your actions got you because you kept doing the same action. You want to change your karma, do a different action. Surrender the fruits of that action to God, to love, to the universe, to Krishna, to Jesus, to grace. And you are free from the ties of karma. That's karma yoga. That's how you break the bonds of what seems like karma, but it's actually the samkaras. So next, we won't do so today, but the next thing we'll talk about is the niyamas. If the yamas were personal ethical practices, observances to guide us through life on the yogic path, The Yamas deal with more the ethical implications of living with others and how we use yoga in that approach. So the 5 niyamas, and I will skip the Sanskrit for now, and we will cover these probably starting tomorrow, would be cleanliness, contentment, discipline, study of the self, and surrender to a higher being, which again brings us back to karma yoga. And those are the niyamas. In some ways, I think they're a little more interesting than the yamas, but I go back and forth with it. I will read quite a bit on the yamas, dedicate myself to the practice, and then the yamas drag me in, especially in this political climate that we live in. But they all interact with each other. You don't do one without the others. You might have a preference for one. It might just draw you this particular moment, this particular time. This one yama or niyama might require some more attention. So it's a flexible practice. It's a practical and flexible living means of yoga, and it's all yoga. All right, guys. So I think I'm going to manage to bring this one live session in under 20 minutes. I appreciate whoever stops by. I appreciate anyone who finds us later. As always, if you have any questions, leave it in the comments and I'll see it. And then we can talk about it together on one of these live sessions. Once again, I just want to reiterate that I am not offering a teaching. I'm not here saying this is what I know and you should believe me. It's just a conversation. It's my own expression of a path that I've been following for a very long time, and it deepens every day. That's it. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.